5:15, I call the special finance and personnel committee meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God.
For a motion to adopt the agenda,
I'll make the motion. Second.
made by Mr. Peasaw, seconded by Mr. Barrington. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Move on to consider ordinance regarding the appointment of members to boards and commissions.
Right, so why are we here? So at last week's meeting, when we talked about this item, I mentioned that there may be some timing considerations that we may need to meet again before the next council meeting. The reason we're meeting again at this time is that we found out that the Police and Fire Commission is out of compliance with this standard. So the standard right now says the majority of the members need to be residents of New London. The Police and Fire Commission has fallen out of that standard. And we need to get them back to a point that they're in compliance again. So during that time, one person moved out of the city a while ago. Nobody let us know about. Another member is in process of moving out of the city. So we're going to need multiple appointments to bring the PFC back into compliance or modify the code to allow current business leaders who are on the PFC to continue their appointments. So that's why we're bringing this back again for the timing, because we want to make sure that the PFC gets back in compliance and do what they need to do. So this ordinance change was something that we were going to bring up during our code rewrite codification process. But because of this situation, and like the mayor mentioned last week, it's becoming more difficult to get people to volunteer. And this would allow more flexibility in filling the appointments. But finding out that the PFC fell out of compliance is why we're bringing it back up now for discussion and continue with that. So that's the reason why we're talking about it. Keith, do you want to kind of get on with them there?
So I wasn't at your last meeting, but there's a couple things that I've researched since then based on what I understood the issues were presented with. So there was one question about whether or not the council could or should approve the mayor's appointment. Somehow I had in the back of my mind that there was a statute that said that. Sure enough, it's entirely clear in the statute that the Police and Fire Commission appointees have to be solely appointed by the mayor. It specifically has an exception under 62.13. There's a couple different places where it comes up, but basically it under 6209 sub 3 specifically exempts from the ability to have the mayor's appointments be conferred by council. So it's 6209 sub 3, which references 6213. So long story short, the mayor appointment of this is not subject to confirmation by the council. And I think the reason that is makes sense. So if you don't have a police and fire commission, the chief of police and the chief of fire chief report directly to the mayor. If you have a police and fire commission that doesn't have optional powers, and New London is relatively rare, not everybody does. My other two cities, Clintonville and Shawano, do not have optional powers. If you don't have optional powers, the mayor is the reporting person from the police and fire chief. So the police and fire chief in Clintonville reports to the mayor. And the mayor in Clintonville says, I don't have an HR background. Why am I being asked to decide things from an HR perspective, talking to the police chief? So, I mean, from a real world perspective, there is some tension there with it. So it makes sense then that if you're going to then, to a logical sense to me, that if you're going to then give optional powers, which then makes the police and fire commission essentially stand alone, that the mayor is the person that appoints those without any oversight. He appoints, because if you didn't have optional powers, they directly report to him. If you didn't have a PFC, they report directly to him. So the logical conclusion of that is, if you do have optional powers, he is the one that appoints without council review. Whether that's good policy or not, that's what the statute says. So we cannot have an ordinance, in my opinion, that says the mayor's appointment on this is subject to council approval. They need to totally, you probably heard me say this before, they need to totally rewrite the municipal laws. They are a mess. That's my complete opinion of it. Then with respect to appointments, it's my understanding that a question's been raised. I mean, this ordinance that we proposed, which we worked through when we did when Chad and I don't know if we had Jeff Schlueter in the meeting on that one or not. We talked through all these, we've literally looked at almost all of our ordinances. And we looked at it and said, we're really going to struggle with getting enough people to be on the boards. You have people that are outside the city limits. I think Doug Noel is historically out. April, I don't think lives in the city, but obviously they're downtown businesses, they're chamber director. It makes sense to have people like, so, and our ordinance has always said a majority can be non-residents. So we basically just reworked it to say, I think what the draft says. I don't have it color. So we said place of residence or employment. That was not going to be our suggestion when we did the rework. So longer story, not getting shorter, is the League of Municipalities is also talking a lot, has a lot of information out there, and there's some case law out there about who can be on a police and fire commission. Their interpretation, I have a decision of theirs, 2020, not a decision, but an opinion. And whenever I say that, so there's case law, there's attorney general opinions, and there's League of Municipality opinions. Case law has determinative force. League opinions and opinions of the attorney general are merely advisory. They're just another lawyer's opinion. And if they don't agree with me, they're no good. But basically the league's opinion is a couple things, and they do cite in their one opinion, they do cite some AG opinions, which do have some persuasive standards. But essentially what they say is, number one, you have to be a citizen. Citizen is not synonymous, there's case law, citizen is not synonymous with resident. So I worked through the same analysis that they did. My analysis is basically the only time citizen is ever addressed is the ability to vote in an election, which is not the same as an elector. Elector is somebody that can vote in a local election. Citizen is somebody that can vote in a state election. So citizen can be broader. It doesn't have to be a resident. It's citizen is not synonymous with resident. Interestingly, they've raised the issue of whether or not a council member is a citizen. And that's interesting. The concept is that you on the council are not citizens, you're a member of the body politic. That once you step into this role, you're no longer a citizen. You're obviously you vote and all that jazz, but you're not a citizen in that sense because you're part of the body politic. So the league's position is that there has never been a case that specifically says that you cannot have a council member on a police and fire commission. They really encourage that you don't. There is a case out of Green Bay that came down a couple of years ago, which hasn't necessarily made it to all their analysis. But in that case, a police chief brought Hyde versus whatever, city of Green Bay. In that particular case, which does have the force of law, does have something that we have, unfortunately, in our current ordinance, which I think we got rid of. But basically what their ordinance says is the police and fire commission is the appoint independent people, but they have they have a council member liaison to the PFC. Non-voting, can just basically be in the meetings. And in that particular case, chief of police said, I want to get rid of so-and-so, or, you know, discipline such and such. And that liaison was in all the PFC meetings, and also in, this probably is the biggest part of it, was also in the deliberative session. Ex officio, in terms of non-voting ex officio, which is not the same thing, but that person's, you know, the council member was in that decision group, didn't vote, but was there. That alone tossed out the entire decision that PFC made, because there wasn't a separation between the council and the PFC. So the court wasn't addressed with a specific question, can you have a PFC member on a council member? But they basically said you can't have them in the decision-making room, even though they don't vote. So that militates, I think, towards not having a council member. The other thing, and I think this is why I think it goes to, you can't have incompatible offices. I think fundamentally they're incompatible offices because you're trying to have a separation. You know, the concept of a PFC is that it's designed to prevent the commission from operating as an agent of a city officer or police chief. And it kind of goes to this. If a chief of police wanted to terminate an employee, and that employee says, I was wrongfully terminated. If one of you were sitting on the PFC and also wearing the hat then as counsel, and I'm not saying obligation is maybe a little strong term, but your somewhat loyalty is to the city. Your loyalty is to the city. I'm not going to say obligation, but your loyalty is to the city in making that decision, saying, no, they were wrong. They were not wrongfully terminated. So you're the decision maker. Yes, they can go to the court, but you're the decision maker on the PFC about whether somebody was wrongfully terminated. At the same time, you're representing the agency, the entity that could have to pay this person if they were wrongfully terminated. So it's that fundamental tension of, you know, do I think every one of you would sit in that meeting and weigh the merits of the termination on its face and make the decision as a PFC member? Absolutely. But from the outside, it does also look like maybe you also have an obligation / loyalty to the city to be inclined to fight for the city in that determination. So for a lot of those reasons, all of those reasons, based on the league, the Attorney General office has said they don't think you should. If it's oddly, if it's under 4,000 city, there's a restriction, which is kind of strange.
For cities less than 4,000 in population, and it kind of talks about the optional powers, but then it talks about it establishes a committee not less than 3 members, and it specifically says none of whom may be elected or appointed official of the city or to be employed by the city. So it's tied to the optional powers population under 4,000, but it doesn't say anything above 4,000. But there is something in the code that identifies that the makeup should not be of elected officials.
So I guess when I take all of this, and the league's position is, you take all of this together, you should not have, from a best practices, good governance perspective, people wearing 2 hats. You know, you have an obligation, loyalty to the city. At the same time, I know you do a good job, but at the same time that you have this other obligation to decide on the merits of what's presented. So, long story short, it's a policy decision whether or not you want to add people who have employment inside the corporate limits. That's a policy thing. My personal opinion, I think there's some benefit to having people that are vested, that may own significant property in the community. I'm city attorney, so I can't, but you know, you have somebody that has some vested authority, invested investment in the community. That said, that's a policy decision, but I really wanted to talk about, I don't believe anybody on the council should be appointed. And I also know that the mayor's appointment is not subject to council approval, which is what our current ordinance is, but I want to say why.
And then to
So-
continue on that, one of the questions were about what the council does confirm. So we made a little cheat sheet here, which most of the commissions and the boards, except for the PFC, Planning Commission, Cemetery Commission, Library Museum Board, Housing Authority, Tourism Commission, Utility Commission, those are all appointed by the mayor, but confirmed by council. Once you get to most of the special and standing committees, like Board of Public Works, Parks and Rec, Finance and Personnel, that report directly to the council, Economic Development, Board Review, there's, in our code says what that is. And the Police and Fire Commission, those are not confirmed by council. So just to give you a, cheat sheet here of what the council does confirm and what the council does not confirm. And these are more of the standing committees that are underneath the council anyway. The makeup is primarily of council. I know that was a question last time we met.
Thank you for putting it together. I think our big concern was planning commission
Mhm.
and what commissions we would have.
Yep.
The right to take a look at the person being proposed as an appointee.
And these are all in the current municipal code for New Market.
So the PFC, if I can interrupt, the PFC is that a bit of an anomaly with the rest of them. The voters have all selected you, so the mayor to allocate what roles you're on, you've already been vetted by some.
Mhm.
The commissions make a ton of sense to be appointed. The anomaly is the PFC, and I think it's because the historical role of the mayor in appointment and reporting of those chiefs.
Well, this is what I really wanted to see,
Yeah,
because we do have control over everything but the PFC.
Mhm.
Ultimately, because we have to appoint, and nobody's arguing what 5 aldermen you put on, a committee. It is what it is, right? It was just we had I've been doing this for 6 years and I still didn't know which ones which broke down. You'd always come up and say, no, I'm appointing this, you gotta vote for it. I couldn't remember them all. So this right here was perfect
Mhm.
to put them all in so we can see.
I guess my biggest concern is the planning commission. I don't feel comfortable having a majority of people making decisions on that commission outside of the city, making decisions for our city.
Mhm.
But we get to confirm them by council. Planning commission is confirmed by council. So we still have.
Do we have to change the ordinance for all the commissions, or can we just separate this one out for now and maybe revisit at a later date for those others? And police and fire, what is their jurisdiction? We have a school board that does a larger area than just in the city. Could we expand the police and fire to their jurisdiction, maybe the school board area or something like that? Instead of having employment?
Another one, he just mentioned, having people outside of the city residency on planning commission. If they have a business here and don't live here, they have a vested interest in the city. So, and on that hand, maybe they should be on the planning commission because they have vested interest in the city just as well as somebody that lives here.
And that was the intent of the employment verbiage, just to, we have Lynn Tank, we have Doug Knoll, we have Travis Clone, April Kapitsky, business or community leaders that are on these commissions. This would allow that flexibility. But like you said, you could have a situation where you have somebody that doesn't have the invested interest either.
But then we'd have to appoint them. Or we'd
You'd
have
have
to
to confirm.
confirm them, sorry, confirm,
Yes,
not
You
appoint.
would confirm.
10
I
years
have a
down the
question.
road, if there's a rogue mayor, council should put him in his place.
I do like Tim's, for specifically for the Police and Fire Commission. Um, for anybody who lives within the jurisdiction of the Police and Fire Commission. So whether they're, but that might be fall under place of residence, I'm not sure.
That's the city,
That's the city limits.
that's the city.
Place of residence would be city limits.
Correct. I mean, what Tim's saying, I think, I'll put words in your mouth, instead of place of residence would be within the school district of the. Am I putting, is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, we have a car accident outside of the city limits, our fire department goes. I mean, you're saying our police and fire, their jurisdiction is within the city limits?
We have
Correct.
mutual aid.
That falls under mutual aid. Now, for the fire department, we have a agreement with.
We have a fire district.
We have an
We,
agreement.
we cover so many square
Correct.
miles of the city. But we have the fire department has an agreement with Hortonville right now that they've just put in place. That if we have a structure fire, Hortonville it's called auto aid. They're coming, whether we page them or not. Same thing with Hortonville. If Hortonville has a structure fire, New London is getting paged at the same time. But I feel as though for like the PFC, it should be whatever the fire department covers in their district without the mutual aid part of it. Wherever.
That's what we were, that.
Wherever
yeah.
we respond, minus Hortonville. Because that covers most of the school district of New London.
Also, the police have a residency or mileage too. I don't know what that is, how far out of the city they can be, but I know that's pretty far. They've changed that.
We're trying to clean up codes here and not have 15 different pages for every different commission. As long as we have to approve them. We gotta take fire commission out because we have no control over them, but for the rest of them, as long as we control who the mayor does appoint. I don't see why I can't just say employment and we're good. Otherwise, you're gonna have accept this situation or this situation. By the time it's all said and done, it'll be 10 pages long. It'll be like everything else we can't ever find when we're looking. Like that
I
cool
agree
little
with
sheet
that.
you had
I agree with you on that point.
I mean, we have control over everything. Take the police and fire commission out because obviously state statute, whatever, says we can't. Or we're unable to. And this will open it up for appointments. I mean, we still have commissions that are near, or committees that are with citizens members that are near impossible to fill. Or you're asking the same people over and over and over again. I'm good with it, you know, we have, the council has control over who he appoints. On the planning commission, so, and that's what everybody's so worried about, and we have the power to say no. And he'd have to dig deep and find somebody else.
We show up to a council meeting. I mean, I don't even know if it's on the agenda. And all of a sudden we get down and mayor says, I'm gonna appoint this person and we vote and we say, yay. I don't know anything about the person. I mean, if there's some way of vetting them a little better and you know, so we know what we're voting on, because honestly, it's just like, oh, this, you just know the name. Oh, okay, well, yay.
Like say, the time the council packet goes out, know who the mayor would be appointing. That's what you're saying, right? That would give you, what, a week?
Maybe even have this is why I'm appointing this person. They have a business in town or they're have so much education level or something. They know a lot about that issue.
They do it for liquor license. We know what liquor, who's applying for liquor license before the committee, who we want to approve them or not. So I think that's what makes good sense. That we know freehand, at least 24 hours, or I would think 48 or so, who the mayor would be appointing, so we could kind of look at the guy or whatever.
You know, and it's, there should be no problem. We should be able to kind of give you some, you know, information on the candidate. And if that case, there's questions or if you want more information, you table that appointment confirmation.
Can I ask a question along those lines? So. If, I'm just gonna ask, we said I could, actually, a few. Is, when you appoint somebody to the planning commission, and now you maybe are gonna say that they know what their address is or their principal place of business is, whatever, maybe something like that gets added, okay? When do you, the council, see a list of what that whole commission is? So that you're able to monitor the residency thing, Tim's point.
Usually we get an email shortly after appointment of who's on all the new boards and commissions. Comes from Nicole.
Yeah, usually it's the following day.
After
After his appointments, then she'll change it in the thing and then they'll send that out in an email.
I think we can do a simple form, just to,
But we don't get anything from fire commission, so we don't know. I don't even know who's on the fire commission. I'm sure if I dug deep, I could find it. I know I can go online and find it.
I had it right.
I mean, I'm understanding the whole need to keep things, you know, simple and streamlined. I get that. I also feel like because the Police and Fire Commission is its own entity and treated differently than the other commissions, the other committees, I kind of feel like they should have their own that should include the territories that they let the people who are within those territories, like Bernie said, be eligible, whether they're employed in New London or not. If they live within that territory, they're not a resident according to the definition that we just heard. But I think that if they live within that territory of the Police and Fire Commission, then they should be allowed, we're opening it up to people that would have an interest in the Police and Fire Commission, because those are the people that are going to be protecting them. So I think that that almost kind of needs its own separate.
So what I'm understanding is you want that added above and beyond?
Yes. For the Police and Fire Commission. I think that after hearing all the discussion, for the rest of them, appointment of members and boards and commissions, principal place of residence doesn't allow those people that live within the fire territory, if they're not employed in New London, to be on that Police and Fire Commission.
To Bernie's point about the area, it's technically not a district, because a district would have its own, like a school district has its own taxing jurisdiction. We have agreements with several municipalities for fire coverage, a little bit different. It's not technically a tax district. But I was just trying to find, if I could find the several communities real quick.
Would it be easiest to just do the principal place of residence within the New London School District or employment within the corporate limits of the city limits? Because you're saying it's all essentially the same.
Right.
And it's an easier map to find.
I'm okay with that for the Police and Fire Commission. I am not okay with that for the rest of the commissions, because now we could have people from up Sugar Bush area now sitting on our committees.
So what I
They
They
understand,
wouldn't be.
We already
because
do.
We have to approve them.
Well,
We
We
already
have to
do.
approve them.
well,
That
we
if-
do.
if Anybody
Yeah,
from
we
the
still
county,
have to.
We still
From
have to
the-
approve
from the
everybody
school.
else.
stand with
This-
what
Well,
this-
the police and fire commission we want.
No, everybody else.
Just
I'm saying.
everybody else.
So anything that affects the city, the council still controls, except the Police and Fire Commission.
you would be making two different motions, and from what I'm understanding, what you're saying.
Or the appointment to members to boards and commissions, you would have to specify the commissions and then have a B that addressed the fire commission, Police and Fire Commission. that would be pretty much the same thing, but would say,
I'm not
Place
gonna
it-
get the exact, but I'm just gonna put bullet points.
I like what the lawyer said, it was pretty simple, the school district. Because we already have them on our committees now that don't live in town. Anybody at the student members that are on, they don't live in town. They could live any place, but it's in the London School District. So if we limit it to school district, that really does shrink it down to New London, basically.
but it also opens it up to having people who live out by Sugar Bush, who are taxpayers to, you know, Maple Creek Township or Deer Creek Township. Now they would be eligible to be on our boards and committees.
We're not talking about being eligible on the committees and boards, because we have Jeff Hanschke on the planning commission. Okay, but it's the majority. That's what the problem is. We can't have the majority of people living outside of town. And that can be kind of dangerous, because if you have a majority outside of town and they have a certain agenda that they're just right outside in Muckwa or something like that, and oh, we'll just, you know, do this for the city and it'll benefit them.
Right, but if we say the majority of members such as commission's board shall have their principal place of residence within the school district, we've just opened it up to Ortonia, just all kinds of other spaces. However, for the police and fire commission.
That's why we need to go back to what Tim actually originally said, because he's right. I mean, we get our agenda and it just says mayor appointments. There is no rhyme or reason to know what he's doing. So that would come on us, that I think when he has the mayor's appointments that he needs to have, we need to have a little blue box that we can click, and we need to list out who he's appointing to what. As,
Makes sense.
you know what I mean? Because he's not wrong in that. He's right. You say the name and yep, I know him. But I think that would give us our due diligence to know who this person is, what he provides. And then, like I said, we can yay or nay the appointment.
I think we almost have to separate this a little bit. That isn't bad, but the fire commission, since it's completely different, I think the wording should be, they should be residents of the fire district in it, but that should be a separate from this. Because that's a completely different thing. We have a little bit of say-so on all the other committees, but not the fire commission. And I think they should at least be in the fire district of New London. So I don't know how much difference is between the fire district and the city.
We have a contract. So it's a contract with the townships of Muckwa, Lebanon, Liberty, and Maple Creek. These are the townships that the fire department services.
But
So if we
are they?
do it so anyone that's on the police and fire commission lives in one of those townships that we cover, plus the city, they should be eligible to be on police and fire commission. Cause that's our coverage area.
And that's pretty black and white.
That's black and white.
I almost don't like school district being used, because if you go south, we're in Caledonia. I mean, we're in,
Right.
but that has nothing to do with,
Right,
Yeah, see, we used to cover Caledonia, but we don't no more.
so then they can't, under fire commission, they shouldn't be able to tell us, fire commission what to do. You know what I mean? I mean, it should mirror that right there.
Right, it should be
For the
just
fire
like that, for what, the areas that we cover.
Ultimately, you have a police and fire commission of 5 people. There's 3 out of town, 2 in town. You can't find one person in town out of 7,000 people to replace them with.
I'm not saying that. What brought this upon was the lack of people being interested to volunteer. And the last time you brought up about going to committees and clubs and stuff, I've done that. You brought up the Lions Club. I have 2 of their members that's sitting on committees, as well as other clubs. This is just getting a little bit more specific into one thing now that they fell out of compliance and we're aware of that.
So let's add a B,
yeah,
And to Tim's
add
point,
that, what you just had up there on the B for the police and fire commission, and leave the first, the other one obviously looks, everybody agrees it looks good the way it's rolled.
Oh.
Oh, we let you copy these.
And just to Tim's point, with all the moves, we would have to replace 3 PFC members to get us back in compliance. Not just one, because people are moving out of the city, so we're gonna have to replace 3 to get the majority out of the 5
Would
to be
it be,
back in compliance.
would it be better just rather than putting in all these towns and say districts covered by fire?
In case one changes, one comes in, one comes out.
Yep,
Yeah, I mean,
So it'd be
so that you're
districts
not
we have
changing this.
mutual aid agreements with, is that what that is?
No, these ones, they pay for the protection. The city's got a contract with the ones that were up
Okay.
there.
We are the provider for it.
Okay,
So what's the take though on people employed in the city?
I
or
don't
the
like
other
it.
boards and commissions?
PFC?
I think we just cleaned it up with adding the B. I think we'd keep A the same.
Works for me. I like it. As far as all the people that I talk to, I mean, the people that are employed here are the ones that want to go above and beyond. The ones that are employed here are the ones that are trying to make our community look better. They're the ones that are volunteering on.
oh Chad, we're gonna leave
All
that
kinds
our
of
employment in
committees.
that one.
We're gonna leave this as,
Thought that was gonna stay the same.
No. That's what we're adding the B for, so that we can't allow all the other commissions to be majority outside the city limits, especially the planning commission.
Yeah.
I mean, we can revisit this at another time if you want, but right now we have an issue with non-compliance. We gotta get into compliance, and we've addressed that with the B.
So I just wanna make sure I understand what you're doing. We have to make it look pretty.
this isn't verbiage.
Yeah.
The theory is there, but the verbiage would be cleaned up.
So all the other commissions are only city of New London residents.
Majority of,
Doesn't mean we can't have people that are employed. It just means that the majority of them have to be a resident.
Correct.
But the
But
PFC,
but on these other, but if we add employment in the A, then they could all be employed in New London and none of them live in New London. So,
so the majority, just make sure I understand this, as we make this pretty for next week. Is, so the PFC, anyone who is a resident within the area provided direct service by the city of New London Fire Department is eligible to be on the PFC. Is that what you're saying, Bernie?
Mhm.
yep,
Did you get that, Chad?
And not even majority. It's
Look at.
Yeah.
And then this comes out, correct?
yes, please.
I would think so.
So when you bring a list of bartenders to us and the chief Wilson has one red flag because of background check. Are the mayor's nominations, is there a background check to them?
Don't think so.
No,
Nope, not
Should-
currently.
just a
Should there be?
discussion
I don't know. Should there be? I don't know.
A background check? That is really up to you guys, but I do not believe so. I mean, there's not a
haven't.
background check on any of you guys that are elected, myself.
The background check is required by statute. Not the, alcohol.
Yeah.
So that's why we have.
Okay, it was just a pure question.
Because we can't do it now, it needs to be brought up at a different date. I don't even know which commission or committee it would go on. We do need to change that to make sure the mayor is giving us the goes on the list on the agenda of who he's appointing. So I
That
don't
could
know
just
where
be our operating procedure getting it to you.
that's,
And if you don't have enough information, you table it and we want this.
with that said, what do you want? I mean, you're asking right now, we're here, what,
We'll start with a name. Usually you do, I mean. Like I said, when I say this, I trust you, it's what happens 20 years down the road, right? When we're all gone.
right, that's why I'm.
That's what we're
I'm
trying
just
to protect.
Trying to clear that up and we can set a precedence.
Can you put his
Usually what I get,
interest form?
name, address, and contact info. That's what I get for Nicole.
That's a start. I mean, that'd be.
Yeah, that's a
I mean,
start. We should know a little bit about the guy. I mean, his criminal background, we don't care. You should know a little bit about the person you're putting on one of the boards.
I think we can come up with something and draft it up.
Yeah, I just wanted
Yeah.
to upfront to ask.
It's like if it's could you share their interest form? I don't ever looked at your interest form, so I don't know what's.
Not
all on there.
everybody fills them out. but
No, I know, but the ones
can
that do,
Fill it out.
So do we need to clean up the language and vote on this tonight to forward it to the council?
Yes.
Yes.
So we need language cleaned up tonight for B so that we can make a motion and vote. We're gonna
Go right ahead.
It's a little early today.
Watch me type.
Contract instead because we have a automatic paid
That's why I'm saying direct,
direct. That's the.
not right. I think I say that here. I was saying about provisions.
Mhm. Yep.
So these are the people, not a mutual aid, that when they call, we are their fire department of record.
yes.
I think that's is what that, this says that.
Agreed. Thank you.
We want a motion to approve that first,
So
one at a time.
I'll second it.
So who moved?
Motion been made by Mr. Barrington, seconded by Mr. Roberts to approve that. I don't need to read it, do I?
That's to
The
prove that whole thing or just line B?
that's to prove everything.
line A stay the same. The addition is police and fire.
I'm
Department
just-
membership. Notwithstanding provisions set forth above, all members of the commission shall reside within the areas directly receiving services from the New London Fire Department.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'm abstaining to it.
And that brings the police and fire commission back into compliance. Or will when,
Exactly, sure. I gotta go make sure that where they live, where they're at.
But I like that notion because it's about the location, not about the people.
Yep.
If the people that are on there happen to fall, that's fine, but you're making a decision based upon the location, not the people.
What makes sense?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure where everyone
Yeah,
lives,
we'll have to
but I
check
think,
that out.
I think you're still gonna have to replace two then.
I have people that are, happy.
Cause one's, I believe in Appleton, another one's moving that way too.
Yeah.
So we
I
do
think
those.
so too.
Well, it's probably better if they're not on the fire commission, if they're living in Appleton.
I mean, they're business leaders, but
there's
Yeah,
other
either
boards
way-
and
either way,
committees.
We cleaned it up and it looks nice and the options are available.
All right, with that, I look for a motion to adjourn. Adjourn. Nate, Tim, seconded by Bob, all those in favor?
All right.
Right?
Opposed?